If you've just joined or you are just joining, we'll officially start in a couple of minutes. So today's live is a monthly Q&A that we're going to be doing every month. And it's bring your own questions, or we can give some topics, and it's to support you on your journey. So very transparent. If you've got any questions, or you think, I really bloody need help with this deal, or what's your opinion on this? We get nothing out of it apart from helping you guys. So please come and just, ask some questions. So we've got a couple private ones that a few people have shared with us already that we will cover. But if you've got any questions and you want to put them in the chat, please do. And then we might have some counter questions for you. So, Ian, thank you for joining. So, Ian, what I'll do is I'll cover your question first that you put on the group earlier. So what I'll do for the purpose of this, because I think you can actually watch it back, is you can watch this back at another date and then learn as well.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll get Substack up on my phone. I'm not very techie, by the way, people. So if you're watching this and think, God, she's rubbish, it's because I'm rubbish at tech. Right, so the question, I don't think you saw this either, David.
I don't think so, Heidi. No.
So
hello, Ian.
I am viewing a property Saturday and the agents have £2,500 mandatory deposit plus £396 admin fee. If I like the property, I will want a survey doing. The agents have said if the survey comes back with anything unmortgageable or uninhabitable, then I can get my deposit back. So your questions are, is this normal? Is there any risk or small print where I lose my deposit? I'm worried what if I get the survey and it's unmortgageable, the agent won't and will not refund the deposit if I were to pull out. And the property I'm viewing has a tenant in it, but will be sold empty. I've got 1,000 questions for you, by the way, because I've seen 600 alarm bells. Do you have any tips for viewing a house full of furniture? Is it okay to move things out of the way to check for damp? So I'm going to break this down. Ian, I don't know if you want to write it down, record us. You can watch it live anyway. I'm going to work through these and then David chip in if you think you've missed this or whatever. So first of all, an agent should never charge you anything regarding a property. My question to you, Ian, is this a deal sourcer or like a lettings agent? So that's my first question back to you.
Let's hope that Ian is ready to type it and to answer to answer your questions.
I'll answer both. I can answer both.
It's a good situation to bring it here so that we can break it down and really see how to work with agents. But what you said is very important. Yes, is it a deal sourcing? Ian says it's a lettings.
Right. So a letting agent, I've genuinely never come across this before. That is red flag number one. I've never come across this. Sourced via Rightmove. Okay. So
it's a deal sourcer.
It's a deal sourcer. This is interesting because my gut feeling is going, Ian, run away. But I'm going to explain why I'm telling you this. So a letting agent, let's use one everyone's heard of. Pygott and Crone. Is that national-ish? If Pygott and Crone has put a house on Rightmove, they put it on Rightmove and you will view it. Okay? They don't charge for that. They shouldn't be charging for that. A deal sourcer. Oh. Okay. This is going to be live everywhere. Right. Be professional.
Yeah. So, keep your cool, Heidi. Keep your cool. Do you have some water with you?
3 drinks. Run away. Anyway. A deal sourcer. I'm a deal sourcer. And I specialise in off-market properties. My properties, you'll only ever see them with me. I only deal with exclusivity. So they won't be on Rightmove and you'll not see them anywhere else because I make people sign a contract that I'm exclusive. I can charge a fee, but I charge on completion. So if you viewed a property with me, you can come and view the property, you can meet the tenants, you can, have every single bit of available information with no fees exchanged because I'm very transparent. If a deal sourcer asks you for anything up front, I think personally that's a red flag. I get very worried with stuff like that because it doesn't show a level of transparency. And I also don't think an NDA is worth the paper it's written on, to be quite honest. So if it's a letting agent, no. A deal sourcer, I can't say that word even though I am one, cannot take or shouldn't take a property off Rightmove and then try and sell it, because that screams to me they're not direct to vendor and they don't have exclusivity and they probably haven't got the contracts in place. But let's say all of the above is reputable and we're all happy with it. We're not, but let's say we are. They should then get you to sign a contract. In my opinion, NDAs are crap, not worth the paper they're written on. I will sign them for other deal sources just to placate them, but they're a load of rubbish. For me, I work on trust. If you have then signed any contracts, again, it should stipulate the terms. So you will pay the money. This is the terms. You will pay, they will pay you back. Okay. That's how it should work. So first of all, no, it isn't normal. That's your question there. Your risk in your small print where you lose your deposit should be in a contract you have signed. However, they shouldn't be getting you to sign any contracts because in my opinion, they're not direct to vendor because it's on Rightmove unless they have put it on Rightmove themselves. We answer that if you know that. If you have a survey, there's a couple of different surveys. So it's a light survey and then is the house falling to bits? Now, I'm not perfect at surveys because genuinely I don't actually get a survey. I never get a survey because for me, when I'm doing a refurb or something, the whole house is getting torn to bits anyway and I'm going to rebuild it back. So I check for compliance stuff anyway. That letting agent / sourcer should know if that house is unmortgageable and or uninhabitable straight away because they're selling it. They should know the questions. They should know the answers. They should be direct to vendor and know all this before they try and sell it, regardless of who is selling it. They should know if it's unmortgageable based upon a lot of variables, non-standard construction, building materials, whatever. They should know the answer to that. If it's uninhabitable, hang on, that scares me because it's been habited. I don't know if you said that. I'm worried that the survey might deem unmortgageable. The agent won't or not refund the deposit. Right? They should know if it's unmortgageable. The questions you need to ask as an investor: has the current vendor got a mortgage on it? Yes or no? That would be helpful. It is on Springbok's own website too. That's fine. Have they listed it on Rightmove themselves or is it another agent? Because some letting agents can put it on Rightmove if they've paid for that. So just answer that first. Question 2. The property I'm viewing has a tenant in it but will be sold empty. That fucking terrifies me for a number of reasons. Sorry, I'm a bit swear if you don't know me. It terrifies me for a number of reasons. One, the renters reform has come in. It is them, yeah. Fine, cool. So they might be direct to vendor. They've put it on Rightmove. I'm happy with that. I'm not happy that they want to charge you a deposit because that is ridiculous and it's not normal.
I don't even understand if was their wording actually a deposit, because it doesn't really make a lot of sense. Why would they ask that?
Yeah, I don't like it when people. I'm selling a house at the minute with a tenant in situ. There's no deposits. Like, you either want it or you don't. Do you know what I mean? But the fact that they're saying the property will be sold empty, they can't. How can they guarantee that? Because either the tenant has given their notice and they're going fine, but if that tenant is a tenant, you need to be asking the questions of where are they going? Are they been evicted? Have they been served a Section 21?
8.
No,
Section 21's gone.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. But they might have been served it prior to the date and then they're serving it out. So I was appraising a house for serviced accommodation where the owner gave a Section 21 to the tenant. And I said to her rightly, but wrongly, stay in the property till you find somewhere. Because that's right. That is your. I used to work for shelter, sorry. So, bastards. So, the tenant it'll be sold empty. Have they given the correct sections in the correct dates? If not, they can't guarantee it'll be sold empty. And do you have any tips on viewing a house full of furniture? Your main issue, Ian, with this one is the tenant, to be honest, because what's your intentions with the house? So if you're going to buy the house because it requires a refurb and you're flipping it, difficult with a tenant. If you're buying it empty, the tenant is the main issue. Are the tenant leaving? Have they been given the correct sections? Have they been evicted? You need to ask a lot more questions to the agent around the tenants and what's happening with them. If you're buying it with a tenant in situ, that's absolutely fine, because as landlords or developers, cash flow is king. So we need cash flow. So if they're staying in there, happy days. However, that's your main thing. So tips on viewing the property with furniture. The tenant actually might be there as well. Just be empathetic. It's their home. Just be, be polite, if someone's coming into your house, how would you want them to act? So yes, you can move furniture, but it's polite to ask. One of the main things I've come across is some people's houses probably not as clean or as tidy, and there's a lot of furniture and there's cats and pets and bloody all sorts everywhere. So you might find stuff's hoarded and it's difficult to move. But telltale spots of damp, look under the windows and around the windows. You'll see flaky paint. I'm renovating my house now, and this is the worst room in my house, and I should have done it first, but just as an example, can you see all these different coloured patches here? They're near my window. So just look out for damp, flaky paint, cold to touch. Yes, you can move furniture, but ask first, especially if somebody's there. And yeah, so we want
when it comes to properties that are tenanted, especially if the tenants are about to be evicted, before you ask to move any furniture, the chances are the tenant is going to tell you everything that's wrong with the property.
Yeah.
That happens a lot because tenants like to talk bad about their landlords if they aren't good or if there's any issue with the property. I find it like at least 7 out of 10 times they will tell you a lot about the property. And free to ask questions as well to the tenants. The agents might not like that. Sometimes they actually ask tenants if they can be, somewhere away or if they're going to be at work. But that's exactly because they know that tenants like to talk about the property. So you take that into your advantage as well. Leverage that. I'm personally, this is why it's good to have always different people and different opinions. Most of the time, I would say yes, we want an empty property, and I'm just reading your comment, Ian. However, we are now in an age and a time where there's a lot of landlords that are exiting the market for their own personal reasons, and it doesn't mean that the tenant that they have in the property is a bad tenant. If I see a property that is actually pretty good and it's got a tenant there that I can see is a normal family, and they take care of the garden, that's like, if they take care of the garden, probably they're actually good tenants. So I'm going to ask them, would you be willing to give me proof that you've been paying your rent for the last, 5 years? Do you want to move out? No, I don't want to move out. Why would I lose a tenant that has been there for 5 years, that has always paid the rent and keeps the garden in good condition, which nobody does? So just little things to think about it. It doesn't always have to be empty, in my opinion.
You can work with the tenant. So the house I was appraising for, so one of my businesses, I set up serviced accommodation as well for other people. And they said, and I'm in and around Lincolnshire. So this house was in Grimsby, and in my opinion, one of the worst streets in Grimsby. And this tenant has been there for 10 years. Lovely person, working professional. And the landlord gave her a section in time because they wanted to do Airbnb. And actually, they'd probably make more profit with a tenant there because she pays a decent rent for that area than it would be an Airbnb. So when I went in, the agent didn't turn up for the viewing. The owner didn't know. And I was direct to the tenant, and I was like, okay, this is how we're going to play this. So I was like, hello, thank you for letting me into your home. Do you know why we're here? And she was like, yeah, I've been evicted. And I'm like, oh. I was like, okay, cool. Like, can I look around your house? I went, and the first thing I asked the tenants is, are you happy here? Is there any problems? Is there any repairs? She pointed out some really basic repairs, and the landlord didn't look after her. There was leaks through the roof. The bath didn't drain. The bath was genuinely half full and wouldn't drain. The garden was dreadful. There was so many problems, and I was like, I said to the landlord, I can't in good conscience go ahead with this because she's a good tenant. You need to look after her, then increase her rent a little bit more to justify everything you've done, but don't evict her. So, Ian, if you're going to buy that property, it might be worth working with the tenant, and you might have a tenant for life potentially.
Yeah, exactly. It's always really, it's all about knowing what the situation is. It's the situation of the property, situation of the tenant, and the situation of the landlord. That's the most important, is the situation of the landlord. I always ask, I don't care if the landlord is there or not. Sometimes we do manage to get access to a landlord, sometimes we don't. If there's a tenanted property, the chances are you're not going to get access. But I still ask the question, and I ask one when I'm at the property, because sometimes the tenant know the landlord or the agent will tell you. So I ask, why is the landlord selling? Because the agent has already given an answer to the tenant when they served notice. If they served notice, at least they had a conversation, right? So I ask those questions in front of the tenant, because the agent then cannot lie to me when they already said something to the tenant. Anyway, it's just so that we can dig as much information as we can and learn more. Heidi, you were reading, so I'll let you go on.
Yeah, Ian's put some extra content in there, which I'll touch upon. But just as a little tip for everybody watching, if you're going to go to any viewing, whatever it is, if you can, go with two of you and have different roles, because it's really effective. So I work with my husband in a couple of our businesses, and I've got another business partner, and I work with David. So I've got a few different business partners with different strategies. What I do is I'm very strategic, very creative, very sort of financial driven, and I do the strategy side of things. Whereas if I'm going to go with my husband, Chris, his role is it compliant? Is it, in good shape? Does it need a refurb? That sort of thing. And we split off. So if there's a vendor or a tenant, I'll go negotiate with the vendor while he speaks to the tenant, and vice versa. So if two of you can go, it's a really, really good way of just like walking off with someone else and getting more information. That's a good tip. So Ian, basically, if everyone's seen that, so this is off their website. The deposit ensures the property is taken off market as soon as the sale is agreed. It is exclusive. They are acting like deal sources then. So not a proper agent. They're acting like deal sources. So that's a sourcing fee essentially. So they've just asked for their sourcing fee up front rather than on the end. The issue with things like this is sometimes they cannot give you the full information, so you can't do your due diligence. I'm never comfortable asking people for money up front. I get paid on completion. Some people do charge up front, and then that is again to stop people messing about. However, I've never had a problem with people messing me about. You can see time wasters a mile off. So it's whether you're comfortably in to pay a sourcing fee up front and hope they get it back. My biggest concern is they will know if it's unmortgageable, or they should do.
You know what? There's more and more agents actually starting to have this type of behavior. I have seen other agents acting almost like they are deal sources. Yeah. But then if that was the case, they wouldn't, So here's my take on it. Is it an amazing property? Is it an amazing deal? Is it already gone? If that was the case, then yes, what they are saying, we are going to take the property off the market as soon as the sale is agreed. Great. So if you don't pay that, then if they put the property on Rightmove or on Zoopla, the property is for sale. If you don't pay them the sourcing fee, they won't let you have the property. Is that what they're saying? I know Heidi is a deal sourcer, so she might not like that. But in that case, I will contact the vendor directly. We'll contact the vendor directly and say, these guys are not letting me buy the property.
If they've done it properly, and this goes for any agent sourcer, if they've done it I'll give you an example. I'm selling a block in Hull, and I'm direct to vendor, and I've got a great relationship with that vendor. We WhatsApp, we have a bit of a laugh, and I'm direct to vendor. I've got a contract with that vendor that they can't get me out the deal. They can't leave me out the deal. If I then sell a property to you, Ian, you can come and see that property, but with me there, unless I super trust everybody. Sometimes I've done that once and nearly got cut out, and I was like, it's not happening again. Luckily, my friend went on my behalf and had my back. But if you can come and see the property, and I'll give you every single piece of information and the address and everything like that. And then if you want the deal, I act as a letting agent in between, and I do the memorandum of sale. So I've got a contract with you, and I've got a contract with the vendor, and them contracts complement each other, so I can't be cut out of the deal. And you know transparently when you're going to pay me, and the solicitors know, and the solicitors will pay me on completion. That's how it works. If they have done that on the letting agency on Rightmove, I think unless it's a super good deal, it would have gone by now. And also, there's easier deals out there, to be honest.
Okay.
Especially if you want it empty.
Yeah. No, listen, we've been 20 minutes on this, and Ian now is saying, oh, this is off the website, and this kind of reiterating what they are saying. Ian, you asked the question, and we are telling you that should not happen, and it's not normal. That is the answer. Should not happen, is not normal. A property that is on the market with an agent, you go do a viewing, put an offer, and you do back and forth, and what they're saying, oh, is going to avoid time wasters. That's not how it works. They don't mind time wasters. They want as many leads as they want in their books. So that's just they selling whatever they want. Anyway, so moving on to something else that I wanted to touch on. Again, because the lives are recorded and people will can then watch it later on. And you're very welcome, Ian. And if you have any more questions, just put them in the chat. If we don't have time to cover them today, then we always want to answer every question. If it's not on a live, that's how we know what content we're going to be producing next, so that we can answer your questions. So one of our other members, Heidi, was talking to me about what to do when you're just starting out, but you really don't have a lot of money. When we say not a lot of money, I'm talking less than £10,000, £5,000 or £10,000. So